All right, it's recording. So it doesn't matter if it's morning or not. Everybody gets this, right? Good morning, everybody. Hit like and subscribe. Leave comments in the comment section. You're watching another episode of Arwyn and the Servant One-on-One. How you doing, Arwyn?
Hello, Steve. I'm doing great.
That's
But
awesome. It's great to have you on.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, so this is a fan request. I had a couple of fans that wanted, or not fans, but like it's a fan request, but it's a couple of listeners, that thought that you had a couple of good interviews that they liked, and so we're having you back on, and it's always a pleasure, man. You've always been, uh, very gracious with your time with me, and so I do appreciate that.
Oh
And
yeah, of course.
so,
Well, you do spend a lot of time in my chat during my show every day. So, but it's always good to have you around.
I think I might be your earliest bird because in California it's like 5 a.m. when you have your
Mm,
show. And so I don't know if there's anybody watching from Hawaii or something, but that would be a little early. That would be 3 hours more earlier.
right.
That'd be interesting to find out, I think.
Well, I do have some watchers from New Zealand and Australia. For them,
Oh,
it's very late night. Or
that's
New
nice.
Zealand is late night, and Australia is evening times.
Yes. Because I remember I tried to, so when I used to have Paige on, like at 4 in the morning, it would be like at 9:30 at night over there. So she's like just winding down for the day, and I'm like on my third coffee,
Mhm. Right.
you know, and so Tom gets in early, and so he has me up at like 3:45, and of course I have to do some truth research. I got to keep up on all the truth topics, right, or else I have nothing to talk about, right? And so usually I just stay up at night and just sleep, kind of in the mid morning. But you have late nights too, like that, right?
Well, for me, I try not to stay up too late, especially during the summer, because if I do, I'll get cooked the second half of my sleep when the sun starts hitting my window and all that. But uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, if before this, when that wasn't an issue, yeah, I could basically. I'm typically a night cat, can stay up all night, but it's not healthy for me. And the older I get, the more I can feel it's not healthy for me. So I try to go to a morning type of living.
right, right.
Never been a great fan though.
Well, see, I remember so we live in California. It's pretty warm out here, and so my dad used to have the same problem. He worked at night. He worked at nights, and so he would sleep during the days, but he'd be hot, super hot. And
Mm.
so he'd have like foil on all the windows, like it was like a tomb in there, like there was no light at all, and it
Mm.
was pretty actually. You could trick yourself into thinking it's nighttime, by doing stuff like that. And so he was a funny guy, but he
Mm.
always found a way to make it work.
All right.
That's one thing I
Well,
like about my
unfortunately,
dad.
I have nothing to cover my windows with. Like my curtains are technically not even big enough, so
Yeah,
I can't even fully close it. But oh well.
yeah. It would be like if you lived like in Alaska, where they, or someplace where they have like daylight for 24 hours somewhere. Like you would just
Mm.
be like so confused.
Well, I bet they have special sleeping halls with no windows there.
They
Probably.
gotta have something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was in your chat this morning, and Um, I do say in your chat quite a bit like that the end is coming and I can't wait for the rapture, and it
Yeah.
does kind of like even over at treatment like at the VA, when I tell my like counselors that, they're like, are you suicidal? Do you feel like hurting yourself? I'm like, no, man, this is the best my life's ever been. And they're like, yeah, but you're always saying that you can't wait for the end, right? And it's like once Flat
Hmm.
Earth came out, right? Once flat Earth, I was already a Christian before, but like now looking back, I don't know if I was or not, or if I was strong enough or not. Maybe I was, a Christian, but like when flat Earth came out and I started reading the Bible differently, like that whole story came alive to me, and I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, like God came to, like he created this place, and it got messed up with evil, and God's gonna rescue us, and he's got this best place. He's the hero of the story, and it's a gift that everybody can get, and and that we're included in that plan, and so once I read the Bible that way, right, I'm like, oh my God, like this life right here is just going to be like a little poof, compared to eternity, and so when you start looking at your life like
Will it?
that, right?
How do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know? How do
So
you know what
that's
eternity will be like? Are
right,
you
right.
trying to
Well, I
compare
know
that,
this.
what you haven't seen
Well,
yet, to what is now?
right. Right. So I don't, right? But I'll say this, right? Um, uh, if you think about eternity, like if you think about how big of a number that actually is, right? Like
Right.
like a billion years is like nothing
But
compared
that doesn't
to
make any sense.
eternity.
Look, what this reminds me of, especially the comparison, it's the same
Yeah.
thing that happens when ballers try to imagine how big the universe is and how little the Earth that they know really is
Yeah.
significantly within that. Yeah, so if you're going to think about an eternity of time that you're going to spend after life, yeah, this
Yeah.
life's going to seem very insignificant. That's a worrying signal to me. Do you
Well,
understand?
God. Well, so in the Bible, God says that this
Doesn't
life
it
is like
matter?
no, 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 no. It does matter, right? Or else we
Right,
wouldn't
so
be doing
why
it,
why
right?
dwell upon
No,
that then?
I don't know if you want to call it dwelling. Like it's like once you okay, so like once I figured out all the lies that we've been told and all that, and then you see all these like deceptions, or you see how the controllers try to agitate us or get us going. A lot of it is very contrived, and you can see it that it's very contrived, and so like you start wondering, you're like, man, why is the world really like this, where like people get locked down, and middle class people lose their businesses, and people are rioting in the streets because we still have race issues, with the police and all that, and to the average person that could be depressing if that was their thoughts, right? Especially
Doesn't
if we
matter what
thought,
it's gonna be depressing no matter what. Because there
right,
is a
right,
depressing effect that comes from it, no matter how you're gonna
sure,
look at it.
sure, sure,
It's going
and,
around.
and right, absolutely, I agree with that. But like, so, like, if you look at that as if, okay, this is the only life we have, and then we're just worms, dirt. We take a dirt nap, and then worms eat us up or whatever. That is pretty depressing to be an
Why?
atheist. I
Why?
guess. Well, if you only got one shot, you figure you got 70 years or something, if you're lucky or whatever, maybe more, and maybe less, right? But then you think about, like, okay, how much have I achieved? What's my legacy? Where should I be in life at this point? Should I be with somebody or not with somebody? Like, there's a lot of considerations and variables that still have to be considered, right? Instead of just living, right? You know what I mean? Like, it could take a lot of brain power from somebody. And then, like, it's like when I learned about flat Earth, it felt like a splinter came out of my head,
Mhm.
and all those thoughts didn't worry me anymore. I knew they were there, and I still worried for other people because they're
Right?
going through that, and
Mhm.
of course I want the world to be better for everybody, but I also like believe the story in the Bible, how this place wasn't meant to last forever. There's a beginning and an end to this, and so if you know that, right, not to be scared or upset when you start seeing the signs of things getting worse or things getting better, because of all the predictions in the Bible. It just makes you feel safer to know that it's a plan that we're a part of. Does that
I
make sense?
No, not to me
You can.
really. No, not at all.
Okay,
No,
so
I
explain like
look, the
what your
Bible,
feelings
it's
are.
always like that. That's the world. The Bible shows you what the world is from
Yeah,
a unique perspective that's timeless. That's
yeah,
really it. Because
yeah,
it never gets any better. It never gets any worse. It's always like this. It's just
yeah.
that you
Well, yeah,
get to see a little bit more of it than you have before, through either your own curiosity and your own bravery, or because the world enforces it on you. Like for
yeah,
media gets more aggressive, for example. But it was always there.
yeah. It is, has been always,
Yes.
always.
So I don't see this at any times. I just see what's technically happening, and then I try to fit it in a development print. And that's it. I leave any predictions out of it. I'm just gonna see it as a development, and I'm seeing that the technology that has come into being is creating an age of illusions, and that
Yeah,
the depth of this is so far because yeah, the complexity of the mind is almost more complex than the complexity of the world. Like what
yes,
can be achieved, what can be done, like impossible things can be, or seemingly impossible things can happen through the mind.
yes. I agree
Right.
with that. I agree with that 100%.
So I try not to pin myself down to any type of playbook. Say like this is the end times. Oh, really? Is it? Really? How do you
Well,
know? How do you
I'll
know
say,
this is? How do you know it is? The Bible's been around for a while, right? So couldn't it be that simply this is like a bunch of people coming together over the ages and basically working out a plan? Like, yeah, let's freaking make everyone believe it's the end times
sure.
because we're gonna
Could
have everything we need in order to convince them it is.
it could be a major troll job, but I'll say this: it's it's a very choreographed, very hardcore troll job.
Yeah.
Like
Well, that's what's
you know,
planning is, and they've
you know,
planned things
yeah,
100 years ahead of time. And these people love trolling. It's already showing
yeah.
that the harder the people are embarrassed, the more fun they have from it. So, yeah, isn't that exactly what is going on right now?
Well, yeah. I mean, it could be. That's a fair position to have. Yeah, I've always said that. Like, wow, they're really majorly because like they're very overt with this mark of the beast stuff or whatever. Like
Right.
with all
Well,
the six six
who knows what
sixes
that
and all
even
that.
is? I have my own weird experiences with that conception way ago.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I try not to personify anything. I try not to railroad anything. Like I believe the Bible, but that
yeah,
doesn't mean that I'm gonna say my life is the Bible. My life is that this now.
sure,
I'm not
yeah,
gonna make it literal.
yes.
See,
That's not
because I don't
that.
know. It can be
Yeah,
a tool that is being used against me. You don't know. You don't understand what is like. Yeah, you don't even understand what drives the people that execute it all.
well, there's some
Why
evil
they really
people.
do.
That's
They
for
may not
sure.
even really want to do it. It's just something that's been told to them, and they're all just really relying on that everything is told to them is to keep it all secure. And nobody
Yeah,
even knows how it works anymore. Maybe that's even been hidden on purpose for by themselves to themselves as like a part of the plan. You don't know. Where are all
right.
these
I
narratives
don't.
coming from? Who is
Well,
setting the words that are rolling out in media in such a persistent pattern? People call it
well,
the AI, people call it think tank planners and all that. That's all very
yeah.
nice, but
Who knows?
who
It's all
is
speculation.
actually making the decisions there? And I'm not
Mm.
gonna say it's some freaking Satan or anything. It might
Well,
be, but it's,
mm,
you know,
it's some okay. Well, this is my understanding of it. Just from being the research as a truther, right? And some of it, you don't know, but like you've kind of put it together, right? And so, like, there's certain bloodlines in the world that are very rich, very, very, very rich.
right.
And, their children have children, have children, have children, right? And so there's, several generations of these people. They probably all changed their names to not be that name anymore and become other things, right? Like celebrities, politicians, people of influence, people with big platforms,
Yeah.
because
They-
because you think about it, like with all the people with a big platform, right? All the athletes and all the celebrities and politicians, right? And all the news, right? And you would think that you could get like flat Earth on the news, right? Because it's at the very least intriguing, right? I know it's true, but it's at the very very least intriguing, right? And you can't get anyone to take it seriously because everybody with a platform is in on it. And they have to be at least against flat earth, right? And every person that comes out as a flat earther in the celebrity world is not somebody that like you would say respect for their intelligence. It's not some like genius person that someone says, "Oh, he's a smart guy and he believes in flat Earth," right? It's always like a rapper or a singer or a boy band or you know
it's
someone
people
like
trying
Justin
to be
Bieber.
cheeky, and
Yeah, yeah,
any
yeah.
time it's being utilized as some kind of oppositional defiance trendiness. That's the only way
Right.
they dare to touch upon it. That's why like
That's
really fringe celebrities or like popular figures that are like want to be displayed as going out of control like to tap in that shit at such times.
right.
Like because it's so risky. Makes them feel cool, you know?
Yeah,
That
yeah. A little
happens.
edgy. Yeah.
Right. But you can't make it part of everything because of how everything works. How what radio is, what television is, what it does, what the programming is, how the programming functions and is built, how it is all spun together into a consistent narrative that yeah
Yeah.
is even to some people historical in their minds. They think that's literal history and it's consistent enough to be like that. Well, if you start to insert things like flat earth, three-quarters of every narrative that has ever been made will start to unravel right
Right.
on the spot. So they
That's right.
can never just work it in there. It's
No.
impossible. Everything's going to unravel and explode in their face every
Yeah.
time. It's
Yeah.
impossible.
Right. I agree with
Never
you.
going to happen.
I guess maybe.
Unless it all completely changes, and then we would be in a totally unrecognizable world where media was nothing like any media we've ever been confronted with, ever. And where, well, things would just be completely different. And it might simply just be impossible to get there. Like if people actually decide to do that, then it's like over. Then it's reset. Click. God
Yeah.
pulls the switch.
Yeah.
It could be like that. And this
Yeah.
is all just postponing the setting as long as possible with the craziest of scheme they could imagine. Because that's the only way they know to postpone it.
Yeah.
By making it crazy in everybody's face and making them forget. So it's going to take more time until they figure it out.
It could be. You know, I guess I just found comfort in it. Because like once first I found out that evolution wasn't true. This is like probably 2006 or 7. That's when I realized that.
Mm.
And then 9 I was in the army during 9/11, and it didn't seem right that airliners could hit the buildings, but I didn't question it. Like it did feel weird, but I just sort of let it go. you know
Everybody was
and
very preoccupied by how the world was being unfolded. in the new setting
Right.
after that. It's
That's
like, what
right.
is
That's
going to
right.
happen now? What is this? What? Afghanistan? What? Iraq? What?
Right.
You
It
know,
was all
he had
very
no time.
fast.
It was
Yeah,
all
no
about,
time.
oh, what's the position now? Is America going to go completely, totally Nazi, or is there some redemption? And there's so much political back and forth
Yes.
controversy in Europe during Bush. Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Liberals were like almost truthers on the media
Yes. You're right.
until Obama happened, and then they all turned into total fucking Nazis. Unbelievable level. That switch was so abrupt, it freaked the hell out of me. It was
It
such
did.
an abrupt switch in
It
culture.
was it was very abrupt, right? But I will say this, right? Like like internet was got really popular to where like my family could afford to have it probably sometime around 94, 95, right? It was out before then, but that's when we got our computer. And then I would say computers got really good by 2000. Everyone had one, everyone was on the internet. And then when YouTube came out, it was
Computers got good.
amazing.
The internet
Right,
suddenly made the
right,
computers have another dimension.
right. And
Before
then
that,
and
computers were still good. Computers were since the 90s pretty damn impressive.
yes,
But it
yes.
was just in the hands of nerds because most people just didn't understand computers yet. It
Well,
was
yeah,
still like
and
that nerd guy in the family was into that.
right. Yeah. And then I'll say this: when YouTube came out, it was cool, right? But it wasn't when it first came out. It wasn't where you can like type in whatever you want and boom, it pops up. Like now, you could type in anything and it'll come up. You go watch a video on it, right? And so now there's so much video sharing, right? That like someone in this like where you are living out in the Netherlands, right? And I'm living in California, and Tom lives in Chicago, and et cetera, right? There's always a person like say one person is good at looking at images, one person is good at the conception of the science, right? One person is good at
Right.
spotting fakery in video, right? And
It's the
these people
free
can come
market of
together.
skills,
Yes,
especially social skills. Yep, I know.
and we
I'm
and
part of
once
it.
we
It's what I've started
yes,
doing.
you're on the cutting edge of it. You are on the
Ah,
cutting edge of it.
nah, but
Yes,
I almost dare to say that I might be professional, but
yeah. I would
because
say you're a
people keep
subject
throwing
matter.
money at me.
Well, you're a
But yeah,
subject matter expert. You know.
nah,
Well, you've
that,
spent
that's
as many out.
that's that's not a really pleasant title to have.
Well, think
But
about this. How
but
many?
I maybe in cosmogony details. That is really my expertise. I can proudly say that. Like, yeah, I know the consequences of geometrical orientations and what you need to know to falsify and all that. Yeah, definitely the
Sure,
expert. That's right.
sure. And so like think about how long it takes to get like a say a doctorate degree. How many hours of class per week for how long, right? Thousands of hours probably,
There is no
right?
class
Right. But think about this, right?
for
Think
that.
about this. Think about all the hours you spent on this subject, right? Far more than that. Because if you were in college, you're studying on other areas too. You have other things due. You gotta. There's so much distraction, right? But if you're just focused on one category and then another category for thousands of hours with energy, like unlimited energy to do it,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's
right,
what I also did with my Dungeons and Dragons. I literally wrote a book for 1,000
right,
pages of technical rules. Yeah, that is exactly that process. And I was kind of obsessed with it, doing that like every day for like years
yeah,
until it like was done. Just like now, everything I would spontaneously think up, I would have already done. Like literally, it's like, oh, this is a great idea. Oh wait, I already did that. Oh wait, this is good. Oh, I already did that like 2 years ago.
Did
Yeah,
you
and
publish
then
your
I
book?
knew it was done.
Did you publish your book or?
It's free. It's free for anyone. It's an open source code. I made sure to do that so that it wouldn't eventually sink in some copyrighted well.
Yeah.
So it's literally anyone can use it. It's an expansion upon the what is it? What do you call that? Open licensed Dungeons and Dragons 3 series. 3 and 3.5. Mine is an expansion upon the 3.5 system, and it's all open license. So everything I made, anyone can use, but they can never use it to make money. So
That's
it's
great.
free to use as an inspiration or a blueprint. There's a
Have
lot
you
of
done
technicals there.
have you
So,
done anything like that with like say like your flat Earth research on light, and have you done anything like put a book together or anything?
well, uh,
Do you think you have the patience for that?
no.
That's how
No,
I
but
am.
I
I have no
have
patience.
basically, well, I have through in the same level of depth of research with figuring out what could potentially be the nature of the realm,
Right.
because I take it like 10 times wider than most people even dare to approach, because it literally gives them a headache. So yeah, I am a cosmologist. I look much wider, can presuppose much more than most people. That's why I can wield the globe model so well, better than most globers can, because it's not that hard for me to get into presupposing things and just accepting this with all the flaws and consequences and bypass it in structurally as you
Right.
presuppose. That yeah, I know how to do that
Have
without getting
have you
lost of what reality is.
have you ever thought about like say instead of the no okay, so you know how they have the AE I know you're a fan of the rectangular looping model,
Hmm.
there's a lot of good explanations there and answers a lot of questions. But like, have you ever thought about how they have the AE map, the disk, right? Instead
Hmm.
of it being from the north out, right? That it's inside out possibly, like
That
that
what does
um
that mean?
okay, so that means like instead of like um Australia and South America being so far apart, it's really that's the inner part close, and then Antarctica's in the middle, and then what they would call the North Pole.
Hmm,
You see what I'm
that's
saying?
fascinating.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
because
thought of that. Or wait, I actually have thought of that, but you really put it down eloquently. That's interesting because that would make sense with the big island and the four rivers. That
yes,
doesn't seem to exist in any modern maps. Yet
right.
it is supposed to be a central island, so maybe you're onto something really weird.
Yeah, because and not only that, but
That
it solves the flight
the
times
South Pole
between
is
the countries.
actually the center. But what
Yeah.
is going to be at the north? It's because it's supposedly just giant amounts of ocean there.
So they put us. So when we
There a
say
barrier
that,
there then maybe?
right? Let's say they want to take us to the north,
Hmm.
right? Well, they would just take us to where what they think is the north, right? But really, our compasses point to the center, no matter what you want to call it, because and so all the icy stuff will, because that would make sense with with all the icy continents, right? You got Canada and Russia and what's Greenland is out there. You got all these icy Alaska. Everything's so icy up there. It's a big area, right? And you're like, how does that fit in a little spot? You know?
It's not
Like,
all icy though.
no,
It
right,
goes
right.
in a wave pattern. There is a where it gets really cold, like Norway and shit. You know,
Yes, it's
somebody in my
complicated.
chat from there that's constantly reminding me that it's usually snowing there, even right now, I
Yeah,
think.
that's so crazy. Can you imagine?
Right, but beyond, and this is officially admitted, even in nature documentaries, they say this. After that, further to the north, there's a band where it's actually more moderate. It's almost like spring break quality sunny there, usually. When more to the south, it's totally freezing. So it's not just a circular pattern, it's more like an oscillation wave. No,
Yeah.
there's a big heat, the center equator, then it gets colder, moderate, then it gets a little cold peak, and then it goes back a little, and it's unclear what's yeah, what's after that? It's presumed that it's all just the North Pole ice cap or whatever. But yeah, it's yeah. Try to explain that on the globe model globes.
Well, yeah, right, exactly.
Makes
Because
no
then you
freaking
can
sense.
say,
But
right, because then you can say that the moon, right? Uh, uh, like, so in the Book of Enoch, they call it portals, right? Where the moon would go around, right, and then it would leap into another portal,
yeah,
and then go. So that would
brilliant.
make sense with the fact that the moon sometimes changes sizes abruptly, and all of a sudden it's bigger now for a period of time,
Yeah.
and then it sizes again and it's bigger, you
Hmm.
know. And so that
Well,
does make sense with that narrative, you know.
no, but it what I when I read that for the first time about the portals of the sun and the moon,
Yeah,
immediately what came to mind is that's not literal. That's an attempt to
right,
get across that like what is happening from a visually explained perspective without rubbing it in your face. Hello, it's not a physical object hanging over the earth.
right, right,
Like how like which I've been trying to explain for now 3 years or something more. It just doesn't get across. Like the amount of people that are really like, yeah, we get it. I can explain that back to you. I can count on two hands.
right.
Most
I
people are like,
liked how
oh, interesting, but most people
I,
just don't understand. They just
I
can't
like
imagine it.
I like how you were talking to, I think it was Chaiki or somebody else, I can't remember,
Mhm.
and they said that the moon is like a rock, right? And that, oh, it works on our model, and you're like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't act like a swinging rock flying around the, you know. We all see the same face of it. You don't even see one quarter of an inch more of the side, you
Right,
know.
and
Like you were
when you shine a light against the ball, the shadow pattern is extremely distinct, and the moon is never like that. The border of the supposed moon shadow is way too sharp at all times. Makes no damn
right,
sense. Yeah.
right, and the moon I think is getting brighter and brighter. Like brighter and brighter, where you could see it in the day, like full moons in the day that are like fully lit up, you know.
No, that's
And
normal, though.
you think it's normal? Like, do you remember like when you were a kid? Do you remember seeing the moon in the
Oh
day?
yeah.
All
Oh
see, I
yeah.
don't remember that.
Bright
I
as
don't
shit.
remember
But
really.
yeah, but when you're not a flat earther, you just don't really think about it that much. You just think, damn,
Right,
that moon's bright. That's it. You don't
right,
even think about like what's that supposed to be and all that. It's just like, oh, moon's bright. Okay.
right.
And hey,
Oh,
when the moon is bright, usually other stars or especially planets are usually extra bright as well.
you know, like
Especially
Venus,
Venus.
right?
Have you
Yeah,
noticed? Like
Venus.
when the moon is bright, the Venus is also extra bright when it
Yeah.
comes into the picture. It's because they
So it's
correlate. The light intensity is a correlation between all the heavenly bodies, I think. So when
yeah.
it's there's some intensity increase, it all increases in a way.
Well, and so like if you can presuppose, right, that it's those objects are way closer, you know, like very, very close, and like
What?
that whole sky, like if you can just so like if you can just picture it as how there's no proof, there's no way for me to find out how far they are, right? But like if you go by like how the Bible says that the stars are inside the firmament, right? Now, if you can think of that, right, as these things are very close and they're doing their patterns, right? Every year it's the same pattern. And
Mhm.
it's and some years change, there's certain little changes, but it's like if you can imagine like all that up there is just for us. Like it's just for us. It's
Sure,
amazing. It's
sure,
amazing.
you
It's
could get well, but for us, for our conscious experience, the animals can probably see him too, you know.
oh yeah, for
So
of course the
it's
animals
for
too.
life. It's part of the design.
Yeah.
It's part
Right.
of what it means to be alive, is to
That's what I
witness all
meant.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
And it's
true.
it's
But
it's
I'd love to point out again, since this is the topic, that the idea of the stars being closer within the firmament is a very nice presuppositional based conception that the stars
right.
have literal positions over the Earth again, which would be
Well, not object.
a triangulation-based presupposition. But yeah, in reality, it seems more logic, or it seems to work more in a way that the higher you go up, it just vanishes. The stars, like, you're supposed to be going closer, but yeah, it just darkens. It's all black.
Yeah, I wonder. See, I always wondered if, and we're getting into La La Land here, right? But like,
Okay.
I mean, things I believe, but like things that I can't prove on a science show. But like when those balloons are going up, those amateur balloons are going up, and they hit like around 120,000 feet. You
Hmm.
know how like it starts to get dark, like near the top, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well, near the
I
top,
wonder.
you can't say that. You don't know
Right,
that.
right. I can't say that.
But
Right. That's why
at
I'm
a
saying
certain
I'm in
height,
La La Land.
yes. Yeah, the
That's why
light
I'm
it
saying.
decreases and then it dies.
So now, doesn't that um aren't those the consequences of something being very close to a roof? You see what I'm saying? Like the balloon goes up and it starts getting darker because you're getting closer to the top, to the
That's an idea. That's really
right.
just an idea. I would rather compare it to looking at a 3D image in the sky.
Could be.
And as you, yeah, 3D image, right? Where you have to look cross-eyed to see it in a 3D shape that's supposed to be. So you're looking at the sky, and because there's this distance, you see all the lights specifically in that star pattern and all that. It's like, oh yeah, little discs. As you go closer and closer to where that angular light is coming from, you literally move up. Then suddenly, these light patterns don't line up anymore visually. So the light
Right.
pattern, the crystal as it is approaching you, is diffuse. So you literally can't see it anymore. The light's just gone because it's split up, almost like your sight is blurred. Does that make any sense?
It does. It does. But see, then I think about like how telescopes, I wonder if they're made to let a lot of light in so that way they do look like discs, because
Yes.
whenever you zoom in with um like a P900, like they look like they're all sparkly and dancing, like some pretty. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've ever
Yeah, but
seen that.
that's blurring. That's a blurring effect. That's been proven how that works. But with
Right, some people
telescopes,
see.
those really deep space telescopes, supposedly, right, with those big round houses,
Yeah,
the what is it, observatories? Well,
yeah,
those things, what they do is basically let a photo very, very, very slowly imprint. So they just let very low amounts of light, which are coming from up there,
yeah,
very slowly imprint on a photograph. So that these microscopic amounts of light are basically stacking over time, building up more and more and more and more until you can actually see a light pattern, which is basically the stretched out preponderance of light over that period while it was being photographed. And then you can see patterns in it. Like, hey, yeah, there is a pattern to that very, very low light right there.
yeah.
Not looking at a bright star, because then it would over bright, basically.
It's
That's
just
how they
amazing.
do a lot of that. That's how these weird galaxy pictures, even some of them, have
Yeah.
originally came into being before they started to get these weird CGI
Yeah.
fractal shit in there involved.
I mean, it's a real shame, right? Like, if we were told the truth from the very beginning, like, imagine how far advanced we'd be at knowing where we are, you know? Like, you know, like we would know, you know?
But fantasy has outrun the complexity of reality,
Right?
you know?
People would like rather uh learn like, some kind of ridiculous fantasy and stick to it even when they know it's wrong. And like their whole job is whenever we get them cornered where we've proven that their ball is done, right? Then their whole motive is not to accept the truth. It's to develop an explanation as to why. It's like, oh yeah, we have motion, but you can't really test for it, but this is why you can't test for it. Or, yeah, we have curve, but this is why it looks
Revolutions
like.
per minute, not miles per hour.
Right, right. Just all this ridiculous stuff, right?
Hmm.
And you're like, you know what? If you tossed out all that old knowledge, right? Because I think they equate like the knowledge they learned in college or school or whatever, as like that's what makes them special. That's what makes them smart, right? But in reality, if you just accept the truth and move forward with that to learn the real story, you're just as smart of a person, It's not the knowledge that makes you smart. It's how your brain how fast your brain really works at like conceptualizing things or understanding things or what your aptitude is, you know. Like I think a lot of people
Well,
equate knowledge
how well do you update? And do
yeah,
you
exactly.
bypass bad updates when they're presented?
Right, right.
That's
And
it.
are you willing to drop old information no matter how much you want to believe it, right? You can drop old information for new information, you know? A
No,
lot
but
of
you can,
people won't do that.
yeah, it's very tough to let go big amounts of things that you rely upon. But there are
Yeah,
ways to do it, but it's very tough to some, to actually just put a whole thing that's very important to you to the side, just to look into something completely different from a fresh start perspective. It's very discontorting, to do that. It's very tough, very stressful. And yeah, with flat earth is especially like that. That's how some globers are just hanging around us, hearing us explain flat earth and issues from every conceivable angle for years on a daily basis. Yet
yeah,
they still can't do that. They still can't shove their entire thing to the side to really experience it, to really see what it is from
right.
a non-biased perspective. They can't do it. They can't put it aside. It's some people just they get so deep into it and then their entire ego starts to cling on to it and they can't put it aside anymore to move on.
Oh, it's sad, really, because I think today on I don't know if you're listening to Nathan's show today because it's a rerun,
Hmm.
and maybe not a rerun, but like it
It
was.
was a Thursday show when I wasn't there.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Interesting.
that's right, that's right. And then Chocolate was telling Zanuck, like, man, how long have you been, arguing this stuff, man? Like, what's wrong with you? Why haven't
Yeah.
you not got it by now? Like
Hmm.
4 or 5 years, you want to argue this stuff, and then in a drop of a hat, you'll switch to saying that entropy is not a law just because it suits your argument. It's like you're denying reality to keep the ball going. Why are you so loyal to this ball? Are you under some kind of spell?
Yeah.
Because yeah, because it
Yeah,
doesn't
he
make
is.
sense, right? It's got to be right. It's got to be a spell, or it's got to be like some really good hypnotism,
Yeah,
because
but it
a
is. It
normal.
is a giant consecutive dream of science fiction and what is science fiction right now, what is science fiction in the future, what is science fiction in the past. And then, like, yeah, that's so many dreams, so many things. And then you see a lot of series and good moments in those series, and you all string it all together in this giant art piece. And yeah, that's very tough to let go for some people,
Yeah,
and they just can never do it. So they'll hear the same arguments for years, and they
wow.
every time they hear it, they will not listen because they are defending their dream. So that's really the only thing they're doing. They're just in the moment, not listening to defend their dream, and that's rewarding to them. That's why they keep doing
Ugh.
it. It
Ugh.
rewards them. It's
Oh
like the
my
dream is
god.
like, yay, you believed in me again. Thank you.
Well, I heard Jim Panda talking the other day. He was saying, so someone said to him, "The globe is dead," right? And he said, "Oh, the globe is dead. 99% of the people believe in the globe, so it's not dead." I'm like, and I'm thinking that it's not about how many people believe in it, right? And it's probably not that many, but it's like it's not about how many people believe in it. It's about if it's right or not, if it's true or not. Is the goal to be on the side of people that believe in it, the majority, or is the goal to find out the truth?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, so the globe is dead, but they think that if the majority of the people believe it, then the globe is the real thing. Then, and that makes no sense to me.
Well, in a weird way, the heliocentrism, and the
Yeah.
ball are a religion on how much truth are you willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
How deep will you go to defend this and society and everything that's said and the news and all the ridiculous statements? How far will you go to be the champion of? It's really a almost like a challenge. Like how far will you bend for us?
Oh my God, that's just horrific to me. I couldn't imagine listening to flat Earth arguments for
I'm
five
sorry.
years,
I'm sorry to
right?
reveal more horrors of reality.
Oh no, but it's great because it is what it is, right? But it's like you watch flat Earth stuff for 5 years, right? And you're in denial the whole time, and then you can watch a SpaceX thing like for however many hours that is, and be excited when the rocket leaves. Like how do
I
you
I don't
develop?
think anyone in the world saw that recent SpaceX launch and was like excited about it. I can't imagine.
It
Like
can't
everybody
be.
must have
It's
felt like there's so much wrong. Like either with SpaceX or with the situation or with the results or figuring out wait, it's all a scam or there's just nobody out there. It was boring as hell anyway. Even if I
uh,
was a completely innocent little kid, everything I got to see afterward, because I didn't watch it live, is just boring.
well, and then they like the signal went out, and then all of a sudden the rocket is back.
Yeah, of course.
Like, if that's not
Next
obvious,
scene.
right?
Next scene.
Unbelievable, man. Like, if I had just seen that alone, I'd have been like, okay, I better start looking into flat Earth.
Yeah, but you'll only see that if you're going to be looking out for that. If you're going to be looking at it from a critical viewpoint of that they might not be honest, Because if you don't, then you're just going to see, okay, supposedly the message now? What is supposedly the technical advancement and how are they going to politically cover it up to make it more interesting? That's really what people think that don't know.
And
That's what I used to think.
you know what their motive is, right? Is like, or their the direction they go is they want to make it even more unbelievable of a story, right? Oh, we didn't go to the moon because aliens were there. They took us to the moon in their craft, and we weren't allowed to show that. It's like that they make it more unbelievable for it to be true.
Well, those kind of stories have been rolling out,
Right?
forever.
Always a whistleblower, right?
That's
From
been
the
since the
aliens.
60s, like these weird, like, oh yeah, I went to this base once and oh, I saw an alien, oh,
Yeah,
and
he was
then later it's
real.
like, oh yeah, yeah, I think I figured out, like, why that was look so fake. They had to completely build the moon landing in a studio afterwards because when they really tried to go, there was a terrible situation in aliens, and so they had to fake it because, yeah, aliens.
The alien was like, pull over, pull over.
Yeah, I
Let
know
me see
how
your
this works.
license.
I know this game.
You know, it's so crazy. They have us going in all these different thought directions. But it's like they'll put out all these kind of fake conspiracies to get us rolling that way. And it's like you're like, oh my god,
Didn't you see
why?
Transformers? Michael Bay's Transformers? That's exactly why they had to fake the moon landing. Because when they went there, suddenly Megatron showed up.
I could hear them saying it. Like I could see serious people on Nathan's show saying, "Yeah, but that's when they met Megatron."
I, I,
You know? Could you picture it?
I don't know if it was Megatron, by the way, but like a Decepticon Transformer. That's like how the original Michael Bay Transformers opens, right?
I
Remember
don't
that?
know. I've
Like they're
I've
on
never
the
seen it.
moon, and then suddenly this Transformer comes by.
No, I've never seen it. I've
I
never
should
seen
watch
it.
that back. These kind of detail scenes now stand out so much.
Well, I
Because
think a lot of real life mimics what they put in those movies, you know? I mean, there's definitely a pattern to it, you know? Have you ever looked into that?
yeah, yeah, of course.
You're not sold though? You're not totally sold on it?
No, it is true. It's just that, yeah, that's something you could endlessly speculate about.
Sure,
Endlessly,
sure.
just start talking about the freaking Shining or something, and it's like 10 hours later, if you actually
Yeah.
know everything that's involved in that, which I don't. But I've heard other people, and it's like, oh my god, there's just this one freaking movie. Ah.
Right, yeah. It depends on what your intentions are, right? If you're just like, well, I'm just gonna go see a movie. I mean, I know that I need to watch out for some propaganda, right? And I know it's to look out for, but I'm just trying to enjoy myself, you know? I guess, you know, you could see it that way, right? And then it would be annoying if someone said, no, all the answers are in those movies, man, we gotta look, you know? And
Hmm.
you're like, come on,
Eh,
man,
but
slow
it's
down.
a good point, though.
Yeah,
With some movies nowadays,
yeah,
like you would almost like if you plan to, for example, watch a movie with your kids, you're definitely gonna proof watch it, to see if it is suitable. And
absolutely.
in general, that would be a good idea to first like watch it like with defenses on to realize, okay, they might fuck me up in some way. And
Yeah,
then like if you figured out like, nah, this to this level, right? Okay, then just wipe your mind if it's safe enough and watch it again, and this time without, just so you can, so it's safe to really get into it, you know,
right.
like that.
I mean, I wish I knew all that stuff back when my kids were babies, you know. And
Mhm.
it's like, and it's like, to you know, if I'm being honest, like I probably learned more from the TV than I did from anything, you know. And like, you know, I thought I was pretty smart because I used to like documentaries and stuff, you know. I'm like, oh yeah, this in history, you know, this guy, man, you know, I gotta remember all this stuff, you know, and you know, and like I learned all the history and different, you know, kingdoms, different wars, different, you know, I used to like watching all that stuff, and to know that like it's possible that like some or all of it could be not true. Who knows, right? And it's like, how far back can you go, like in your family? Maybe your great grandfather, you know, but as the years went by, like especially in the 1900s, right? There's always, you know, there's all these big moments, right? The Great Depression and, you know, hard times to live through that they didn't have time to be worrying about what was on TV, you know. But you know, in the
The
meantime, you
Great
know,
Depression. There was no TV during the Great Depression, though.
right. But you know what I'm
Especially,
saying, like things like that, like Korean War, or there could be
I don't know if
Hank.
there
Thank
even
you. That's
was
very good.
radio then. I think so. There should have been
What
radio.
was this? I think
It's
it was
since the
in the
20s, right?
1960s. No, 1960 or something like that. 50 to 60,
Radio?
something like. No, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. No, the radio
Television
came
was
out in
since
the
the
20s.
50s.
Yeah, yeah, 50s for the television. But see, it that also like kind of feels fishy to me that everything was invented in America. Everything, you know? Like I just that just
That's
seems
where the money
fishy.
was. It's the
I
oligarchs got free room to do that shit.
yeah, I
So,
guess you're right. And plus it's a melting pot. There's everybody is here. You know, you can find people from every country in America, you know. And like my family came from Italy. My great grandfather was in the Italian Navy during World War I, and then they ported in New York, and then you know he got out and stayed in America, you
hmm.
know. And so we got here in the like he was probably close to 1915 or something like that, you know. And so like I'm third generation probably Italian.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just kind of a weird place, you know. And plus, I'm from California, which is even kind of even more weird, you know, because like I've moved to other parts of America, right, where like I expected it to be like California, and it was not like California. It was like very slow to me. Everything was very slow and very inexpensive, you know. But California is very fast. You have to talk fast, jump on every opportunity fast, you know. Everything is fast, you know, and or else you lose your footing, you know. And 1 month if you're out of work, it'll swallow you up. You know.
Ugh,
Yeah, it's very scary, hand to
creepy.
mouth. Yeah,
That,
yeah,
that
yeah.
that
It's
would be a
very
good place
creepy.
for me.
No, no, no. It wouldn't. You know, it wouldn't. I mean, like I'm good now because I'm a soldier. I get a little pension, not a lot, but enough to live, and I get treated really well, and so I probably get more than I deserve, to be honest, and super grateful for that. But if I wasn't um, a soldier and had the VA looking out for me, who knows what I'd have to probably get a couple burger jobs or whatever, working at burger places, but I'd have to have more than one job probably.
Hmm.
But to be honest, I'll tell you what, like I worked at In-N-Out Hamburger one time, and for like a year after I got out of the army, and it was like the best year of my life, man. It
Hmm.
was the best
Okay.
year of my life. Yeah, I met a girlfriend that I really liked. I had a pretty nice girlfriend, and I lived in a little spot, but like everything it wasn't even about money. We made just enough together. She worked at Target, and we had made just enough money together just to live and eat, and but we were so happy, it's amazing, you've because I've had times where I've had, I wouldn't say a lot of money, but probably more than I needed. I wasn't month check to check, and I was stressed out a lot, and so who knows, you just never know what'll make you happy or whatever. But anyway, it's a good talk, man. I think
Yeah.
you did really well, man. I think the audience is going to enjoy this. I'd like for you to, if you want, you can have this content and put it on your members only thing, if you want. And
No,
if you
that
put it there, if
no
you
no
put
no
it
no
there,
no.
I'm
My
not.
members only is really members only. This is going to be on your channel,
Yeah.
and if it's going to be
Okay.
members only, it's really members only. That
Okay.
means
Okay.
exclusive. But I
Okay. Okay.
appreciate the gesture.
Yeah,
But
because
hey,
I was just gonna say, like,
you need the content. You need the clicks too. Growing channel,
yeah,
doing good.
yeah,
Keep it up.
yeah. Well, I lost like 2 or 3 subscribers, over there. Anyway.
Don't even mention it.
Yeah.
I had that nonsense back and forth for like
Yeah.
half a year, and it's like they start to play with you if you start to mention it. So be
Yeah.
careful. It doesn't
Okay.
really mean anything.
It
Like
doesn't.
my
It doesn't.
my subscribers, I don't know if you kept paid attention to that. It's crazy. My subscribers, it's still right now is 1720. It's been like that exactly for at least 2 months. It's like
Wow.
always 1720. I don't know.
Wow.
Does it make any sense?
That's odd, man. That's odd.
They
I've been
like to
hovering.
keep me in exactly the same level for a prolonged times for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know, man, because it's got to be artificial. Because I was growing fast, and then me and Tom, we just sort of stopped at like 490. We got to 500, then we get dropped below, then we
Mm.
got above, and then we dropped below, and then now we're a little bit above 500 now. So, but you know what? I'm happy because I like the people that listen to the show, like especially the real regular ones. They're
Right.
really nice.
That's what it's really all about, isn't it?
It is
That's what you're
exactly.
doing it for.
I enjoy that
They
they like.
bloom up and then you can, yeah, enjoy the flowers and then keep it going.
Yeah, I love the comments too from the people. They're so nice, and we keep everything free over here. We decided that that's just what our, but we're leaving, leave it open or whatever. But um, I think we're just gonna leave it as just free content for people,
Okay.
and I think that's good, But
All right.
you know, all right, bud. Thank you so much.
Want to run out
God
with
bless.
prayer?
Well,
It's your
I
thing, right?
would. Yeah, I do have a prayer that I could read. Let's see here. Thank you for saying that because you know what? I was kind of getting uh losing my not motivation, but like spirits. My spirits are getting down a little bit,
Mm,
and so this will really help me out here. All right,
that was good.
everybody, I'm gonna say a prayer here. Um, Dear Heavenly Father, I turn to you today. I repent of all my sins. I believe that your Son Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins and was resurrected to life on the third day, and forevermore he lives. Father, I ask you to baptize me with the Holy Spirit right now. Change my heart and renew my spirit. I invite you, Jesus, to enter my heart, change me, save me, and be the Lord of my life. Right now, in your mighty name, I pray. Amen. Yay!
Amen.
That was great. That was great. Well, thank you so much, Arwen. I appreciate it. You're always very gracious. If you ever want this content, you can use it, and I'll put it up right now.
All right, appreciate it. Yeah,
All right. God bless you.
yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah,
We got some chemistry going, you know.
we do. We have you and me have good
It's like
chemistry. Yeah,
unexpected to me too, because I do like talk to you a lot in chat and stuff.
yeah,
But like when you start the show, there's like this extra thing there, and I don't know,
yeah.
it's good. I like it.
Energy. Yeah.
I feel very balanced like that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I think you were great today. Golden. So,
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it back myself.
yep. I'm putting it up right now.
All right.
All right. You have a good day, Arwen.
You too.
All right. Bye.
See you later, Steve.